welcome to another episode of Shooting
the Shit with Rachael
and Neil Young. We're talking all things real estate photography business growth, mindset, and getting it done. Here come your favorite true entrepreneurs, Rachael and Neil Young, shooting the shit.
I have a ferret on the Like if we're kind of in a slump, like what kind of things do you do?
Talking about a boob light.
Straddling a power line.
Nice photo.
Ooh, I need that.
I'm like red right now because I'm embarrassed. I go like this. I love it.
Come in.
Sure, use your podcast voice.
You know, over here, I'm pitting out.
Drone's like flipping to the ground.
That's a great callback.
Chit-chatting.
Is that what you call that? Hey!
Rach, who do you love?
HDPhotoHub.
Today's episode is brought to you by HDPhotoHub.
The platform real estate photographers trust.
And so do we, because Rach and I both use it on a daily basis. Check it out.
Check it out.
Check it out.
Check it out. Check it out. Check it out. Check it out.
Chickadee, check it before you wreck it. We're back again with another installment of the summer series, Rachel's Power Team. Her power team is so big, in fact, that I don't believe it will be summer by the time you're hearing this episode. So, but today we've got a guest on the show who isn't necessarily part of Rachel's power team either, however, but because of Rachel's power team, you know, Rachael had this opportunity to have a new business opportunity or a venture with the special guest today, who is Dan Redwine, who is the co-founder and co-host of the Master Plan, which we're going to be talking about a little bit. He's also a realtor with Realogics, Sotheby's International Realty, which is a mouthful, I will say, Dan. And today we're going to chat with Dan about their new venture, Master Plan, and hear his perspective, which will be pretty cool to hear a little bit about, you know, his perspective as a realtor, what it's like dealing with a photographer, and what's really important for him for finding a good real estate photographer like he found in Rachael. So Dan, without any further ado, I'd love to hear a little bit about you. If you could introduce yourself and tell us a little of your background, that'd be awesome.
Thank you guys for having me. I've been a big fan. And obviously, Rachael and I go back to my Sun Katie real estate days. And I've always been in sales and marketing. I've always had a super entrepreneurial startup. You know, when you grow up kind of in the Seattle area, you just watch people do startups and meet them at parties and go, wow, like that would be amazing. I moved to Kirkland in 1997 to play college soccer and had big aspirations for my soccer, you know, dreams, and got hurt early on, hurt my ankle really bad. And that kind of forced me into a different direction, which was coaching. So I found a real passion and love for coaching youth soccer. And when I met my wife, she was, you know, playing college soccer as well. And we had this idea of doing soccer camps that was kind of, you know, thrust upon us in a way that we were super young, you know, and when you're in your early 20s, you're just like, yeah, that'd be fun. Let's do it. Right. So
yeah,
we did a soccer camp in a backyard on Hunts Point Drive in Bellevue and had 6 kids that wanted a soccer themed birthday party. And the cool thing with that whole story is the dad who hired us to do that little soccer camp for his daughter was like, you guys are really good at this. You should start a business. You should call it Redwine Soccer. You have a cool last name and I'll help you. I'll send an email to everyone I know that they should come to your camps. And so we went from 6 kids to 25 kids to 50 kids to hundreds and hundreds of kids. And 21 years later, that's a really proud thing that our family is very involved in. I have 4 daughters. They're all, you know, part of that. And yeah, so my background is very eclectic. Like I have a hard time sitting still, and I've tried the cubicle life. You know, I interviewed twice for Amazon, was a finalist twice, interviewed twice for Boeing, was a finalist twice. And thank God they didn't hire me, because I think, you know, I would have driven them crazy and myself. So yeah, the background for me is we would need like a whiteboard and 4 other podcast sessions and probably a custom app and website. But I do feel like, you know, it's all such a gift, and everything that I've gone through it led to this thing that I found called media and real estate and marketing and content, and doing it in a way that's very, very different than probably the way most people would do it, but it's working for me. And a big part of that was partnering with Rachael and finding a person that saw what I wanted to do and said, yeah, Dan, I'll do it. I think it'll work. And crazy enough to to try it with me. So very thankful for Rachael.
My original intro, Dan, my first mock-up, I was like, usually we ask, what do you do? And I think maybe it'd be more accurate to ask you, what don't you do? Because of all the information Rachael told me, all this stuff you did. I'm like, I don't even know where to begin,
Yeah.
So that's crazy. I love the soccer stuff. I have a very similar story, actually. I injured my ankle too, right before tryouts for varsity in high school.
Yeah.
No more soccer.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I did town league after that, but I never made varsity. But I had big dreams too.
Yeah. Yeah. Soccer's a great game. I'm so thankful for my time playing and coaching, and without the parents and the network that I met through doing my best to help these kids that I got to coach, I wouldn't be here. I mean, some of my biggest transactions have come from the soccer families that wanted to support me and said, yeah, Dan, we'll come tour with you. We've been wanting to buy something in Tumble Creek. And I'll say that I'm very, very blessed to have those people in my corner and cheering me on. There's families that I can absolutely point to the ripple effect of their support. And it's pretty special for me on that front.
So you never know where you're gonna end up, and how your history, your past will kind of flow into that. But that's pretty awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Rach, before we even get into the whole this new venture master plan, which
it's casual Friday, right?
Yes, totally.
I was golfing. Full disclosure today. I played golf twice this summer. I've worked really hard this summer. And then I got invited to this Young Life tournament that I'm really excited to be supporting. So anyways, that's why I'm geared up for golf and here at Suncadia. So
I thought you were giving Tumble Creek a little plug. You got the house behind you and everything.
Yeah, right. This is my mother-in-law's house, and it's such a fun thing to have available to us, and she's been very generous to let us use it. But yeah, we're on site here at Suncadia. I'm looking out at 13 on Rope Rider, watching the golfers go by. So if I get hit with the ball, there's actually a golf ball right behind me because we're in the kill zone if someone hooks their drive. So if I duck, that's what's going on.
Tell people, let's explain a little about your connection there with Suncadia and your real estate, just so people understand what's happening on. And just if you're not watching the YouTube channel right now, you're listening to this podcast. Dan's in a lawn chair. He's got his golf gear on, and he's just like super relaxed and chill. He's got this beautiful house and sun setting behind him. It looks like the dream right there. But yeah, tell us a little about the Suncadia thing, Dan.
Yeah, I mean, if you're not familiar with Suncadia, it's 85 miles east of Seattle. It's the largest master plan community in Washington. It's 6,400 acres. There's a public side called Suncadia, 2 golf courses, Rope Rider and Prospector, Stovehouse Restaurant, Swiftwater Winery. There's a 254 room hotel called The Lodge, an 18-room hotel called The Inn. It's absolutely stunning. It's at 2,200 feet elevation. We're in the shadow of the Cascade Mountain Range. Can't ask for a better spot within an hour and a half of Seattle. So it's a very special place. On the private side, gated side, it's called Tumble Creek, and they have their own golf course. Tom Doak designed, the same golf architect of Bandon Dunes and Gamble Sands. My in-laws bought here in 2020, but I've been coming to Suncadia for a long time and really enjoying it. But when they bought a house here, I met their broker, Jeff Rao, and he was like, Dan, there's an opening on our marketing team. You should definitely apply for that, and you should get your broker's license and sell real estate here as fast as you possibly can. I took Jeff's advice to heart, and I interviewed and got the role of marketing manager on the real estate side for Suncadia Real Estate. And that's where I met Rachael. And as I was doing the marketing manager stuff, I got my 90 hours chipped away and got my broker's license and switched to the sales side in 2020, and really have had a fantastic opportunity to help a lot of families buy and sell here in Suncadia. I only focused on Suncadia and Tumble Creek. I partner with Brian Hopper for everything outside of Suncadia and Tumble Creek, and Brian's coming on board to help me here, and I'll talk more about Brian later. But that's how Rachael and I met, was Suncadia Real Estate. I needed a lifestyle video for a lot that I was trying to sell, and I'm like, man, how do you sell a piece of dirt? And Rachael totally was like, oh, I know exactly how we're going to do this. We can dive into that story if Rachael wants to. I'd love to hear Rachel's perspective on our first meeting. Rachael was just the standard. If you worked at Suncadia Real Estate, it's like, oh, you use Rachael and photography. This is before it was Focus Media Collective.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, okay. Like, yeah, I'll work with Rachael. Like, I just did what everyone else told me to do. And so that's how I got a hold of Rachael. And Rachael, is that what you remember? Is that how it went down?
Yeah, I remember the marketing director called, and he was like, hey, we want to do some like lifestyle photos of the Great House, which is like the golf clubhouse, and photos of people golfing on the golf course and, video of all of this as well that we can put together for marketing videos. And I was like, okay, great. I'm like, I got to call Matt Shaps. He's got to come on and be my video guy. And at the time they put me in contact with you and they were like, all right, talk to Dan too, because you were on, that marketing team. So I went
Yeah.
out and did all that footage with Matt. It was really fun. We got to ride in a golf cart all day and take photos and video. It was like the dream job. That was probably my first time collaborating with Matt like that on a video shoot, like video and photo shoot.
Oh, that's right. You guys did that. And I wasn't really very involved. I just remember thinking like, oh, cool, we'll have more content. But
Yeah.
it wasn't until I became a broker where I'm like, okay, how do I find Rachael? Now I need actual like strategy. I need like lifestyle tied to a actual lot. Like what could I do if someone owned this lot, what could they do walking from this lot? I think that's how we connected, was on that Ruby King lot.
Yeah. And you were like, I want to do a video, that sells a lot. And I was like, yeah, let's show I just did all this great B-roll. Like, let's add that into your video. We can show really what the community's like. We'll add that emotional connection. You get the feel of what it really is like to live up here, because it's absolutely beautiful in that resort.
Yeah.
Don't
And we're on
get
the tee
some
box.
photos
I
and
remember that lot. Yeah, we were on the tee box of number 3 on Tumble Creek, and you were like, just talk about everything you could do from the lot. And I'm like, do you want me to walk and talk? You're like, no, just stand right there. I'll add all the B-roll. And I remember thinking like, man, if I own this lot, I would walk to the Great House. I'd watch sunset from there. I would, I'd watch the golfers tee off. I might like sneak out here and chip and putt, at night on number 2, which is a really cool par 3. And you just nailed the video. And that video, I sent it I blasted it out. I had a lead that was interested in that lot. I sent it to her. She sent it to her husband. They both came up the next day and we were pending by like 5 o'clock that night. And that client actually, because they wanted to build in Tumble Creek, they just bought the dirt, right? They were like, well, we need a house in Suncadia while we build. So the whole idea of taking really good care of clients, they just trust you with their next transaction. And that lifestyle video led to so many more opportunities and gave me so much more confidence around this idea of I have to invest in video. Photography is great. I absolutely love what Rachael does on the photography side, but if you're willing to spend the extra money and get Rachael to brainstorm with you, use the B-roll, get her drone out. My recommendation to any broker watching this, if you're especially in the Seattle market, get the entire package that Rachael offers. Like, don't go halfway and be like, oh, I'll just do photos and, I'll use my iPhone and just do my own videos. Like the investment I made has paid off in spades. We all want to have like stick with a budget, and at certain points it's like, oh, it's hard as a broker because you don't get paid until that thing sells, right? But it's this whole chicken and egg thing. But I found like with Rachael, there was just this instant confidence that she brought because she was so crystal clear on like, nope, Dan, I know exactly how we're going to do this. And she's been directing me ever since that video. So
thank you.
That's
You
cool.
know what's funny is you were like, when you asked if you should walk and talk, I was like, nope, we're going to put this camera on a tripod because I can't hold the Ronin M. I have this big stabilizer with my camera on, and I'm like, I can't hold that thing and keep it steady. Like, there's no way.
And obviously walking and talking works too, but having it be stationary for some reason on that day, it just worked so well. I still remember the day. I remember it was like a little bit breezy. It was sunny. We were kind of catching some twilight. The sun was setting. It was late summer season, early fall. And it was like just that perfect day where I'm like, oh, this is going to work.
On top of the video that we made for you, your wife and kids came as well. And we did some lifestyle photos of you guys. This was like probably early 21, I would say.
Yeah.
So not
Yeah.
everyone was doing lifestyle videos at this time. It wasn't as hot as it is now. So it was a little bit more.
Well, and it was like Suncadia and Tumble got so white hot during COVID. Everyone wanted a place outside of the city. Everyone wanted like, fresh air and big open spaces. And my broker friends and, just some people were like, doesn't everything just kind of sell itself up there? I'm like, I mean, I don't really care. Like I want to make it, I want my sellers to get top dollar. I want to create absolute FOMO on top of FOMO and do everything that I can. We were pending at full price within 48 hours of that video getting out there into the world, right? And so you think some of that stuff, I think now that the market has shifted, right? Like rates are much higher and the stock market's hard to predict. It's changed to where it's like, I never take a sale for granted now. That system that I have in place, goes back to, okay, what's the video? What's the launch strategy?
Your marketing.
Brian and I were up here till 9 o'clock last night, shooting videos and getting content and making sure that we were ready to launch Southern Star in a really strategic way. And the other thing too, that I wanted to mention is, Rachael, like all the content that you put out just about yourself and about how you're feeling, about your business and about your story and your growth. I remember watching it before I met you and going, huh, like, wow, that's like a little bit TMI. Like, I didn't need to know all that about Rachael, but wow, like, cool. Like, I'm glad she's like, you know, growing and going through all these things. And like, just, it was really cool that you shared that much. And I think I told you like early on, like, hey, some of the stuff that you've shared has really inspired me. And it has nothing to do with photography, or it's just like you started sharing your story in a way that was super compelling. And it just made me want to work with you more because I'm like, I feel like I know you. So if there's photographers, videographers out there, I would say, and Rachael, we've talked about this, about getting out in front of your brand. Sometimes it's really easy to hide behind your brand. And
Especially as a
Rachael, you did,
photographer. Yeah.
yeah, like you did such an amazing job of like, I'm not going to hide behind my brand. You know, I'm going to be out in front. I'm going to share what I'm going through. The good, the bad, the ugly. You know, it's not all rainbows and butterflies out here. Like, this is a hard industry to do well in. It's super competitive. Clients are very demanding. There's days where we can't control so much of, we can't control weather. We can't control, you know, our neighbor screaming at us for flying a drone. Yeah, I just really wanted to make sure that the first time I really started to get to know you was through your Instagram feed, and it made me want to work with you. And of course now we're thick as thieves. So
That's awesome. No, I know Instagram has been such a powerful tool for me. Yeah, I've had so many people say, "Oh, I just feel like I know you just from Instagram." And I don't even feel
yeah,
like I share that much anymore. Like the last 6 months or year, I really haven't been face to face on my stories that much. I've been busy, but my
yeah.
social media manager takes care of, my quarterly strategy of what we're going to talk about, and we brainstorm ideas, and then those are going out
Mm.
there. People are still involved, and I'm still an open book. I like sharing the journey. I think it's important to help inspire other people and help them understand they're not alone in this crazy industry.
It is a crazy industry. It is such a roller coaster ride. And Neil, I don't know how you got into photography and real estate, but I'd love to, hear how you and Rachael connected, because I really don't know. I mean, I just hear Rachael talk about you all the time, and she's like, "Oh, I got to do my podcast." I'm like, I love it. Let's go. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Listen to
Well,
episode 1, you'll hear the whole story.
yeah, yeah. Well, it's a long journey, but this wasn't my original path. I'll say that. I was
yeah.
originally going out to be an actor in LA and stuff like that.
Wow.
And short story is, I started doing headshots, and then I moved back east again and was waiting tables doing headshots, and then real estate kind of fell in my lap eventually, and I just kind of went with it. I heard her on a podcast, and I reached out to her, and I was like, "Hey, if you ever want to do something like a podcast or something, let me know." And she was like, funny. And that's your quick version, and there we go.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah. So
you're on the east. So you're on the East Coast.
yeah, I'm in New Hampshire, which is,
Okay.
just a little bit 45 minutes outside of Boston, basically.
I'm a West Coast kid for the most part. I mean, I grew up in Minnesota, but spent most of my time after high school in the Seattle area and West Coast. And
Yep.
I'm kind of really fascinated by the East Coast. Like, I've been to New York and Boston, and we went upstate New York a couple years ago for my wife's 40th. And I'm like,
Yeah.
gosh, this is a whole other world out here. I'd
Mm.
love to come. We got to do a master plan, New Hampshire.
Oh
Yes.
yeah, for sure. For
Still
sure.
never met Neil in person. So
That's right. We've never met in person, Dan.
Yeah. Well, we
So
got to make that happen.
yeah, that'd be hilarious. That'd be so
Should
cool.
we
Yeah.
talk master plan? Is that like a
Yeah. So
good
I
transition?
love that I love that we got talked about how you guys met and a little bit of the importance of, the photography skills. And I just think you are like, that saying, preaching to the choir. I love that you get the whole marketing yourself piece, because we're always trying to get our real estate agents and brokers to understand that this isn't just to sell this house. Like, it's that whole attitude, well, it's going to sell. It's like, no. Not only is this going to help it probably sell for more, and who knows what you are going to miss if you didn't market that. But I also love the idea of, this is your brand, and that you did do those videos consistently, and then you're building that brand, and you're putting your face forward in the same way that Rachael does with her social media and all that separates you from the pack. When people go looking for a home and they see your face all over everything, well, of course they're going to go with Dan
Yeah.
Redwine.
And they see the quality of your work. They
Yeah.
see your commitment to the
Mhm.
investment to make their house shine. That's not a small thing. So
So then, so how did it come up when, and obviously you're getting great work with Rachael and hit it off and whatnot. And I assume you guys kind of just, your brains started working together, and where did this whole master plan come from, and what exactly is it? We'll finally explain to everybody who's like, what is master plan?
yeah. when I was the marketing manager here for Suncadia Real Estate, I would watch, video crews come in and do our sizzle videos and lifestyle videos. And we had an agency that did some of that stuff. And then we would hire big production companies to do it. And I just thought, man, there's got to be more of a storytelling component. There's got to be more social media friendly edits, right? And there's something really awesome about a nice sizzle reel in your lobby of your real estate office that plays on a loop. Like, I totally get the value of that. But when I was watching kind of all this production work, and I remember thinking like, man, my job is to drive more leads. My job is to get a connection on social media. And this video is not really going to do that. So I thought, like, how else could we do this? And of course I watch like HGTV with my kids and House Hunters and, all these kind of real estate shows. And I remember I had this idea and I was like, oh, we could call it like Tour This Resort. And it's like this kind of interactive, fun show about, different resorts. And like, I don't know, it just didn't really stick. Like, I'm a big name guy. For me, like, the name is so important. So I had this kind of idea and I was like thinking about it. I'm like, gosh, like Rachael could host the show. That would be awesome. It just kind of fizzled a little bit and we got busy. And then I had this like 2 in the morning, like woke up.
We had a meeting like a year before, and Dan told me
Yeah.
the concept for this show called the Master Plan.
Mm.
Like, we're going to feature the best resorts in America. We're going to travel
Yeah.
around. Like, we'll start here in Suncadia and Tumble Creek. We're going to, we'll meet up with builders and tour homes, and then we'll have a little competition and we'll show all the amenities. And I'm like, this sounds so fun. This sounds great. But I've never been on TV. I don't know what I'm doing, but sure, we can do anything we put our minds to, right?
Yeah.
So
that idea, the name master plan, because what I do, like what I'm looking at right now is a master plan community. They're built out in phases. They're based on supply and demand. The developer buys a huge chunk of land and says, submits their permits to the county and goes through all the steps of saying, we got to put in water, power, gas, sewer. Like, we're going to build this many homes. We're going to have this many clubhouses, this many golf courses. And so when I got to a master plan community, one of the largest on the West Coast, I remember thinking like, wow, this is fascinating. There's a whole master plan to this thing. And I'm going to get to watch it get built out in phases. And there's a master plan community in Bend, Oregon called Sun River, and it's all the way built out. There's no more developer lots. There's no more clubhouses coming. There's no more amenities. They've built them all. They've got a head start on Suncadia, but it's the same ownership group. So I remember thinking like, wow, I'm going to get to watch, like, are they going to put man-made lakes down there, or a water slide park, or a putt-putt course, or another clubhouse? Like, what are they going to do to draw more and more buyers here? And so that story I thought would be really fun to tell. And I'm like, what a better name for a show than Master Plan? It's the master plan about the master plan, right? Like, so it's a little bit of a play on words. It's the show's evolved. Meeting John Curley and getting an actual formula, I think, has been a game changer for us because it's streamlined the show, it's gamified the tour, it's made Live Like a Local kind of its own show within a show, which is really fun. And I don't know if that story is a good one to share, but
I think we should kind of back up a little bit and just kind of explain. Like, Dan came to me, I think it was probably 2021, and you brought this idea. I brought it to a video crew and they were like, he doesn't really have a business plan. It seems like he wants you to be a partner with him. That's a big commitment. Like, we can't commit to this right now. And I was like, okay. And I'm like in the thick of COVID, didn't have time to do anything. I'm like, I just kind of let it sit, and I didn't throw it out the window, but I'm like, I'm going to wait and just see what Dan does with this. And sure enough, he came back, I don't know, 9 months later and said, hey,
yeah,
I filmed a
we
pilot
both got
with another co-host. And I was like, I was supposed to be the co-host. I was like, oh no. I was replaced because I didn't jump on this opportunity. And he was like, I don't know how you're going to be involved, but I want you in on this. And I was like, all right, I'm in. Cool. Yeah.
That summer, I remember that spring, summer, fall, I got so busy selling real estate up here. Like, it got so crazy. I got my broker's license and it was go time. And I had a really great year up here. And then in October, I caught a window, kind of finally got a concept video done, a pilot episode. But I remember feeling like, it's missing Rachael. She's got to be part of this. And so much of this stuff, I feel like, if you're not willing to try, if you're not willing to like fail and pivot and have people like be like, oh, I thought you were going to do it that way. And then you're like, no, actually we're doing it this way. Like, I just don't care like what people those kind of judgments are not going to stop me from trying and trying and trying until we get the formula right. I think Rachel's been so amazing in that, I'll call her at like, 10:30 and be like, I have an idea. And she's like, oh, do you really? Like,
Oh, you don't say, Dan. Dan's like
right,
endless idea machine. If you need an idea for
right. So, yeah, Rachel's been awesome at kind of keeping me in a more focused kind of like, she's like, that's a really good idea. It seems like it might distract from like our main idea. So, because it's pretty easy with content to go, all of a sudden you're doing things that you didn't think would be the main idea, right? I'm very thankful for Rachel's Focus, and Focus Media Collective is like a good name for her
I was just
brand.
gonna say.
Yeah, because Rachel's very focused, and I have, I've never been like diagnosed with like ADHD or anything, but I have a pretty terrible thing called tinnitus where I have this ringing in my ear that's really terrible, that I'm completely deaf in my right ear, and that's been going on for like 20 years. And so sometimes I feel like the idea of like creating and moving and keeping active and like the challenge of a new thing is where I really find a lot of relief from my tinnitus. And so for me, it's like a lot of people don't know that about me, and I don't really talk about it very often, but I've shared it with Rachel and like that, hey, sometimes I might, go a little crazy on an idea because like I need a new challenge. And she'll kind of reel me back in and be like, hey, the challenge we have is pretty challenging. Like, like let's make sure we're nailing this challenge. And that's kind of like, just friends like Rachel, my wife, Erin, of course, has been such a huge part of like helping me navigate all that stuff, because it's been rough. It's not easy to have something that's chronic and constant that never goes away, and you can physically feel it all the time. And so for me, like the gift of Master Plan has been this thing I get to throw myself into, try new things, travel, be creative, and help other brokers. Like we're really going to help other brokers win.
Rach, sorry to interrupt, but a little aside here. I'm kind of excited because I'm branching out to a new market, first of all, in Florida. But the tricky part is it's pretty competitive down there, and there's some of these huge companies offering these crazy deals for like the first people that use them, and they're giving them like everything. And I was trying to think how I could compete with this. I didn't know if you've done something like this before, what your thoughts were, but what I did was with HDPhotoHub, I set up a promo code for a little discount, and then also included the marketing kit, because a lot of these competitors are offering all these things, and it sounds really crazy. Like, oh my gosh, they get a website. Oh, they get social media stuff. Oh, they get, all these things. And I thought about it. I'm like, really? Oh, a video and all this. Like, actually, that's just the marketing kit that we get in HDPhotoHub. So I'm doing the promo code. They get a marketing kit, slideshow video. They get a website. They get social media templates. They get printable flyers and all the stuff that the agents love. And all of a sudden, I look like this, huge company that does all the same stuff these big companies are doing, and it looks kind of slick. But I didn't know if have you tried that? Have you ever done the promo code thing?
I have used the promo codes, which are great. You just generate them within HDPhotoHub. You give the code to your people. There's a little section when they check out to just put in that promo code, and it automatically applies that discount, which is so convenient. I think that's a great way for you to stand apart from your competition too, Neil. Promoting yourself as a marketing company offering a marketing kit and going into a little bit of detail with that just sets you apart, makes you look baller.
Yeah,
love it.
Totally. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Good. All right, cool. So I'm going with that, and that's what I'm going to do to try and kind of get people excited to use me the first time, and hopefully it'll get some traction rolling in that, because it's a brand new market. So I'm excited. Awesome.
Yeah, I love it. If you want to try out HDPhotoHub, you can get 50 free credits, which will buy you 3 property websites and marketing kits that you can test out on your clients. And the promo code for that is STS, in shooting the shit. Try it out today.
Maybe we should explain what Master Plan is.
Oh, okay.
Exactly.
Should we go all the way back to
that yet.
what it is?
Yeah, and I guess technically sometimes I see it depends where you look. It's labeled Master Plan TV as well, right?
It is. Yeah. And I grabbed, the .com was taken. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to call it TV, because we are going to be on TV, and there's no doubt in my mind that HGTV, Nat Geo, someone's going to look at this and go, wait a minute, you've got a 20-minute show. We could sell 10 minutes of ads, make a 30-minute actual TV show out of this. Like we're strategically, the foundation is for TV. That being said, I really don't care if we're ever on TV. I care if we're effective on YouTube, effective on Instagram, and we're driving real leads for our clients. But
And the show too, just so everybody knows, the Masterplan TV is literally just like it could be on HD TV right now, and it looks just like what you would see. And they're touring these awesome inclusive neighborhoods and these homes that are for sale at the same time. So doing the whole real estate, highlighting the real estate, but showing the community. And it's a really fun show. You get to see all these different adventures, really, because they're all very different. All these different master plan communities are super different. And like you did one where you guys were like snow tubing. You did one where there's like horseback riding. There's golfing. It's all very, it's fully entertaining. Like you're just going to turn into your favorite HD TV show, you know?
Yeah, and that was our goal. I told Matt from day one, I'm like, Matt, this has to be good enough. When people watch it on YouTube, they should ask, wait, is this on TV? Like,
Right.
That's how good it needs to be. And Matt has nailed that. Like, I think Matt is probably he's a very strategic part of this whole thing. And we can't talk about the show without talking about Matt Shaps. I mean, he's 21 years old. He's a legend. You know, he's eventually going to be the CEO of a big media company called Masterplan Media. Yeah, we're huge fans of Matt. Yeah, the show is, we call it Real Estate and Lifestyle Adventure Show. It's on YouTube and Instagram, but it is, the fun thing with our show is it's produced in a way that it has segments. You know, we have an intro, a 2-minute tour, the wow, 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 the live like a local, and then we wrap the show. We contextualize the market with the intro. We give a high level perspective of the market, the economics, the supply and demand, what's happening in that market. We move quickly into a 2-minute tour. We pick a home and we go through it in 2 minutes or less, right? Like we got to get that in there. And then Rachael picks the coolest thing. What's the one thing everyone should know about the home? What's the wow, wow, wow? And then we go live like a local. And then we wrap the whole show. And that's the John Curley formula. You know, John Curley is a media legend here in the Seattle market. He was the host of Evening Magazine, which is a nationally syndicated show that airs in 119 markets across the country. John was kind enough to look at our first couple episodes and go, you guys are onto something here, but you have to have a formula. You have to have something that's repeatable, scalable, and you could take into any market and do it again and again and again. And he goes, you also now have something called segment breaks. And that's been really powerful for us because now we actually sell media. There's a segment break between the 2-minute tour and the live like a local. There's a segment break between the intro and the 2-minute tour. There's a segment break between the live like a local and the outro, which my job, as Rachael knows, is to actually sell that media.
Really
so
good at it.
it is really fun to have brands starting to see value in being part of this show. Our premiere for Woodinville, our launch party for Woodinville, we did a big deal at an awesome restaurant in Woodinville. And there was a company there, owner of a company there called Pacific Landscape Management. His name's Eric. And, you know, he walked up to me after the premiere and watched the whole episode and was like, I need to figure out how my company gets in your next episode. On Monday, we're shooting Master Plan Bellevue, and Pacific Landscape Management is going to be a big part of that episode.
Reading their commercial on Wednesday, doing all their headshot
We are.
lifestyle
Yeah.
photos. Yeah, the whole shebang.
We are adding tons of value to the clients and the brands, and everyone that wants to be part of what we're doing is probably the most rewarding thing for me. You know, knowing that they now have some strategy, they're going to get content that they're going to be really proud of for a long time and can live on their website, live on their social, live on an email campaign, be a real lead generator. We're pretty excited about the new website that we've designed for lead generation, tied to the content strategy that we're putting out there in the world. You know, we aren't just doing videos because videos are fun or sexy or cool. Like, as fun as these are to create, it's a lot of work, it's a lot of time, it's a lot of effort, and we have to have a real ROI tied to it. We have to have it be measurable, and so our website is going to be a huge tool for that. So when you go to the masterplan.tv, our website, you're going to be able to find our sponsors, connect with them, work with them, follow them on social, and our brokers are going to sell a ton more homes because of us. Our landscape partners are going to get a lot more landscape jobs. Like, hey, video is fun, but what's more fun is getting real leads from it and real business. So we're pretty passionate about that.
Yeah, and as of now, we're just exclusively selling to Sotheby's brokers around the country. So it's really a referral and networking opportunity for them to be featured on the website and to be on the show. Because, you know, if you as a Sotheby's broker have a buyer or a seller that says, hey, I'm moving to Nashville, you know, and they've seen the show, they're going to go, oh, I know Mr. Sean Tate. He'll be my referral broker, you know, and he'll send that referral over to Sean. So
Yep.
it's a good way to be, and we've already seen that happen through the master.
It's already happening. Someone reached out to me and said, "Hey, I saw your master plan Las Vegas video with Cowdy Nagao. We're really interested in Lake Las Vegas." They've already flown down to Vegas and toured with Cowdy. Cowdy's already sent me a referral agreement, and they're going to be selecting a home this winter. Sabina Jacques has already had a tour in Woodinville. She's already had a listing appointment. So, and I think what a lot of people don't realize is we're just getting started. Like, I mean, we just hit the 1 year mark in July. Our most, media companies that are further along than us, I'm not going to compare myself to them because, we just hit the 1 year mark and we're like, okay, what's working? What's not working? What do we want to double down on? What do we want to kind of get away from? And it's a constant learning experience for us. And we have weekly calls, Rachael, me, and Matt, and we're like, okay, what do we need to do better? What are we going to do for this Bellevue episode that makes it better than anything we've ever done? We have a pretty fun transition game idea that we're going to be rolling out here. We have a studio in Cleellum that we've invested a lot into. That'll be a really cool thing that people will start to see more studio level production from us. That's a 3,000 square foot, physical space right in the heart of downtown Cleellum that we've been really excited about for a while. So people are going to start to see that. We have our first studio day on September 10th coming up here on Sunday. So yeah, the train is leaving the station.
Yeah.
And
That's cool.
it's going to be a podcast.
Oh yeah. The Dan Redwine show brought to you by Masterplan Media. So yeah, I'll be launching a podcast and that'll be a chance for us to recap our kind of the making of the master plan, where we'll get to do a deep dive on our experience in Nashville or Las Vegas or Woodinville or wherever we've gone. I think, we should definitely talk about Master Plan Scottsdale and Desert Mountain as well. That's been a really fun thing. Paul and Michelle Perry in Desert Mountain, they're a fantastic power real estate couple. And they reached out and they're like, hey, we want to bring Master Plan to our resort. That's an 8,400 acre resort. I thought Suncadia was big. We have 3 golf courses. They have 7. We have 3 restaurants. They have 10. So
it's fully private.
It's fully private. All 7 courses are private, member only. Yeah, we're really excited about that. So we're shooting in December. We're sending Matt down September 26th to the 29th to get a bunch of B-roll and start prepping for that episode. Yeah, so
our pre-launch strategy. So we're going to start hyping the episode before it comes out, just to give them some extra exposure on social, make it a really big deal. So yeah.
So our focus for moving forward, and that's why having Brian Hopper come on board has been huge for me, because it really is going to free me up to focus on Master Plan Media and grow. I want Master Plan to be the premier content strategy for Sotheby's brokers around the world. That's my goal. So there's 27,000 Sotheby's brokers around the world. There's 1,200 offices in 81 countries. I'm very proud to be a Sotheby's broker, and I want to make sure that other brokers understand. I understand you. I understand the brand. I understand how we can leverage it, and I'm here to help you. So that's something that I'm really excited to double down on in this next season.
Yeah. So Brian Hopper is a broker with Sotheby's, Realogics Sotheby's in Kirkland, and he has a whole team. And Dan has teamed up with him. Brian Hopper is going to be his referral partner, basically. So Dan is freed up to be able to focus more on Master Plan full time. Because, as you know, real estate is a full-time gig, just like real estate photography can be.
Yeah. Well, and
Right.
I think it's really interesting, kind of in the same way, Dan, that, building all those connections, doing soccer for all those years helped launch your career doing this now with Sotheby's. It's kind of the same thing with how this is working for Rachael here. She had all her ducks in the row. We're talking about her power team, and really the way this relates is she had all her ducks in a row. She was doing the right thing. She was going above and beyond. And all of a sudden this new opportunity arises. And I just want to kind of point that out. A lot of our listeners are other real estate photographers and stuff is, if you're heading in the right direction, you really don't know where it'll take you. Same thing with you being the agent or the broker there. You're always thinking of new things. You're always evolving your business, and now you've got a TV show here. And I'm sure for both your businesses, probably a bunch of people are thinking, well, how does this relate to business? Is not only is it a separate venture, but it also establishes both of you as experts in your fields as well, as a broker, as a real estate photographer. Have you felt some of that bleed over, Rachael and Dan, into those other aspects just from having this established product?
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
we're not really seeing much of a slowdown from last year's numbers, which
Mm.
I give a lot of that to. I mean, I know I advertise on social media, but I really feel like I've met a lot of brokers in person since I've started the master plan, and being able to touch people in person that you can't, there's no better way to meet and connect with someone than in person, right? So by meeting all these brokers, I mean, people talk, they say, oh, try this person, try that person, Rachel. So, I mean, the word gets around that you're a good photographer, or you're the trusted one that people use. And I've seen that happen with master plan for sure. And I've had brokers who, like, I had one just yesterday that I shot for, and I follow him on social, he follows me, but we don't chat that much or anything on social media. And yesterday was like, hey, I really like that show you're doing, the master plan.
Mm.
Like, that's really neat. And he asked a couple questions,
Yeah.
so people are starting to really recognize what we're doing. And I think the more that we're putting out there too, because there's been a lot of confusion. A lot of people are like, what is the master plan? And
Mm.
we've created a lot more marketing videos around what is the master plan. We're getting a lot more focused on our social media strategy so that we can really present it in a way that people can fully grasp and understand what it is we're doing and how we're helping brokers win with video
Mm.
and strategically build
Yeah.
their brands and help them build out a referral network as well.
Yeah. And I'll say for me, like as a broker here focused on circadian tumble, the builders who've reached out and said, Dan, I want to work with you because you have a strategy, you have a content drip that I want my brand to be part of. And if you are a broker out there and you want more builders to work with you, like, have a strategy, have a plan, have a brand that's bigger than just you, that a builder can bolt onto and say, I can insert myself into that thing.
Mm.
Sweet. Like, I think that's been very exciting for me, and it's opened so many doors, like Rachel said. And the other thing too that I'm finding is I'll run into people that they don't necessarily like, they don't comment. Sometimes you feel like,
Yes.
oh, I only got 14 likes and no comments on that video that we spent 4 days shooting and 2 days editing, and thought it was the most
Yeah.
amazing thing. But then you run into someone that they're like, and then they word for word, like, quote the last 6 months of your life and every single video you've done. And you're like, oh no, people are watching. So don't get discouraged if you don't get 1,000 likes, just because you
Mhm.
post something that you put a lot of effort into. It all will continue to build until people go, okay, this thing's not going away. These guys are very committed to it. Somehow, some way they're getting paid for doing it, right? Because we wouldn't do this if we weren't getting paid for doing it. Doesn't necessarily mean we get paid every time. It's not a multi-million-dollar business yet. I told Rachel when we first started, in 10 years we're going to sell it for 100 million, and a big media company is going to go, oh wow, you have more brands and more builders and more brokers than we have. We'll go ahead and write you a check. And I don't know if those are just things that I've put out in front of me as goals that help me every day wake up when I'm tired, when I don't feel like doing it, when it's hard, when people say they want to do it and then they change their mind, like, and that's all part of the process. I mean, I don't, if someone doesn't get what we're doing, I absolutely have no problem going, that's fine, if you wait a year it'll be more expensive. So our price is going to keep going up because the value of what we bring is going to be more and more valuable, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with the waiting. I'm okay with the growing pains are part of the whole process. If it was easy, anyone could do it. Rachel and I are, Matt, Abel, Aaron, our team is built a little different. And I think that's something that we're really proud of. Yeah.
I just want to talk a little bit about Dan's personality, because he's a different character than most in a really good way, Dan.
Oh, thank
So,
you.
yeah, in the 2.5 years that I've known you, I have only seen you kind of like down in the dumps, like tired, kind of
Mhm.
crumbling one day. Well, okay, you got in a bike wreck and hurt yourself. So
Oh,
maybe 5 days total, but out of those 5 days, only one of them was like not due to injury. And you were like, I don't know what's wrong with me. I just feel just tired. I just can't do it. And I was like, Dan, you're gonna burn yourself out. Like, you have to take a day off every once in a while. But you work
Yeah.
harder than anyone I know. Like, you are out there constantly grinding. Your ideas come like wildfire. It's insane. And you're absolutely fearless. The story of how you met John Curley. John Curley is the evening magazine, the media guy, right? Like,
Yeah.
a legend in the area. He just reached out randomly. Maybe you should tell that story if you can make it quick. But
Oh yeah, sure. I pinged him on LinkedIn and I said, hey, you don't know me from Adam, but we have a show idea that's been very inspired by what you've done on Evening Magazine. I see you're in Cleellum. I'd love to buy you a beer and show you what we're doing. And he messaged me back and was like, here's my cell phone number. Just call me. And then
Amazing.
John's so generous. And then we ran into each other. It took a while to connect. We ran into each other at the Brick in Roslyn, Washington, the oldest operational saloon in Washington State, by the way. If you guys haven't been to the Brick, you got to put it on your list. I was taking a bite of an onion ring and I saw John Curley walking towards me, and I'm like, it's John Curley. And we were actually shooting an episode of the Master Plan that day and had got done and decided to grab dinner at the Brick. So he spent a
Crazy.
half hour with Matt and the team and said, okay, let's get together. I think I know what you got going here and I want to help you. And so we call it the Curly formula, and we try to do it. We try to do John, make John proud. John's going to be on a boat on Monday for our Master Plan Bellevue episode, and he'll do the Live Like a Local segment. And his wife, Nicole, is an incredible broker that I partnered with. She's moved here from Park City full time to sell real estate here with me, and is going to be a big part of what we're doing with Mountain House Properties, our brand that we're building here. Yeah, Rachel, thank you for, I
That's
think
just
there's
one
certain
of
people.
many of the amazing stories of things that have just fallen into place that have just been so
Yeah.
perfectly
Well,
aligned.
we've had these episodes where we've talked about this, putting that energy forward and heading in that right direction. If you just keep heading in the right directions, keep trying, putting effort forward, it's crazy how pieces will fall together like that. That would never happen. And I would say probably in just meeting Dan on this podcast, we've never met before this, if I had to describe him in one word, it would be driven. It comes from that, just going forward and just being driven and outrunning that ringing in your ears, I think, Dan.
Yeah, it's that. And these four girls, my wife and I have four daughters, and
Oh yeah.
I think about the future that I want for them. And there's this joke that Rachel's probably like, oh my gosh, like 4 weddings and a funeral, like not this again. But I think like, who's going to pay for all these braces and
Hmm.
cars and cell phones and prom dresses? And I just want them to have like a good life. I want them to look back and be like, my dad worked hard. My dad took chances. My dad was willing to grow. And I think like that for me, I want to leave a legacy where my daughters are like, I'm really proud to be a Redwine.
Love it.
And I feel like that every day is a big part of why I do what I do.
Mm.
And then when you meet someone like Rachel, that's like, nope, I get it. I'll work hard. I'll sprint with you. And it has not been easy. I mean, there's been months where we haven't paid ourselves for doing what we're doing. There's been months where we've said, you know what, let's keep investing in the brand. Let's just keep doing it. Let's just keep creating content. And when we shifted Matt to the partnership co-owner and this whole thing, co-founder, it was like, okay, we all get this isn't an immediate paycheck. We're not waiting for someone to do this for us. We're gonna make it happen. That's been really an incredible thing to be part of as well. Our team is absolutely the best, and our clients get all of us. So that's pretty fun. What's Abel?
That's
Abel doing down
outstanding.
there?
Abel,
Abel, get in here.
I was trying to just grab some pants.
Abel, you are not going to be a ninja, Abel.
I was trying. Look at Dan's setup.
I hijacked.
Oh my gosh, right? Abel, get up here and golf with me.
I'm just waiting for the invite.
Abel, I had a birdie on a par 3 today. It was the best thing that's happened to me this summer. So that's all I got.
Hey, there's nothing wrong. Let's set it up. Let's do it. I'd love it.
Okay, September is going to be more realistic. This summer was crazy, but
Sure.
we'll get you guys up here.
Okay, cool. All right, enjoy.
All right. Okay.
For people just listening, Abel, Rachel's husband, just was like, you saw this arm kind of come into the screen behind her. He's trying to get his backpack behind Rachel.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I came to Abel's house to do the podcast today, so I set up in their back room, and Abel has one of his oldest son's friends lives here. He's his roommate, so because they have an extra room. So, anyways, he moved into this room recently, and I was like, I'm gonna do my podcast in there.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
Hilarious. Well, I'm really excited about where you've already gone so far with the Mastermind. I've seen it evolve from the first episode and a couple episodes in, and then it just kind of took off, and it's looking so awesome. And I'm excited to see, all the new episodes coming out and everything, and where it's going. What is there anything else that the future holds for Mastermind that we haven't talked about yet?
I think for me, the new website's a big deal. We'll be launching that soon, and we'll make a big deal about that when it's live. It just ties more of a lead generation strategy to all of our brokers, all of our brands, because we talked about a little bit ago that videos are awesome and fun, but they're awesome and fun because they actually work, and having a website. So when that call to action, when we wrap a show and say, hey, to learn more about Mr. Sean Tate and the market here in Nashville, Tennessee, go to the masterplan.tv. They're going to find Sean Tate. They're going to find a way to get in touch with him, and it's buy, sell, build, invest, right? Like, and then there's a gamification of that experience for the user. So they get to tell Sean how Sean can help them. And that's going to be super fun when we get those first leads coming in. Right now, if you go to the website, there just isn't a great lead generation strategy, but that's part of growing and building, is we had to put out there what we have. And we knew that at some point the website was going to be a big investment for us. And that's where we're investing right now. So coming up next, Master Plan Bellevue, Master Plan Scottsdale. So those are the two next episodes. And I will say, should we do a shameless plug? If you're a broker out there, a builder out there, a real estate brand, a resort, if you want to bring Master Plan to your market, let us know. It's Dan at the masterplan.tv.
Love it.
Awesome.
Yes. And if you're a photographer or a videographer in any of these cities that we're going to, follow the masterplan.tv on Instagram, you guys. And if we're coming to your city, we can always use BTS shooters, second shooters for the video, other lifestyle.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Very.
If we wouldn't have had Jordan Powers, can we give Jordan Powers a shout out?
Yeah.
Yeah, he came in with the Nashville episode.
Thank you, Jordan.
Right?
Like all the drone shots you see on Master Plan Nashville, Matt was on the ground running the main, camera A. Jordan had the drone in the air. So Jordan was a real, I love Jordan Powers. I don't know, that guy's built different.
Good cat.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. It's funny all those things come together, all the pieces fall into place. I like that. Well, that's super exciting. Do we want to just also let them know where they can go to check out the YouTube channel and Instagram as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Probably the best place to connect is it's all right there on the masterplan.tv. We actually have I love our website now. It's going to get better, but they could go directly from the masterplan.tv to our YouTube channel, to our Instagram. Perfect. So that's probably the best place for them to start. And there is a little bit about us. There's a little bit about why we do what we do and how we do it. So I always send people to the masterplan.tv because it's not hard you're one click away from YouTube and Instagram if you go there.
Well, thanks so much for being on, Dan. This was fabulous, and I'm just jealous that I can't be running on the golf course there.
Yeah, no, it's so funny. Like people are going to be like, "Oh, all that guy does is play golf." I'm like, "No, you have no idea. I don't." This is so rare that this happened. Like I can't even tell you. But it was a really fun day, and now I'm going to go help raise a bunch of money for Young Life and buy some auction items that my wife will yell at me for, and it'll be great. So yeah,
awesome.
Yeah.
Sounds good, man.
Yeah. Thanks so much for having me, guys.
Yeah,
thanks, Dan. You have a great night.
Okay. Cheers.
See you on the next one, guys. Bye.
Okay.